and you're good to go.
All right. Well, we are so very happy that you are here today to talk about working virtually with clients as a financial coach or a counselor as we navigate the new social distancing rules, shelter in place, COVID-19 pandemic, knowing how to effectively offer financial education, counseling, and coaching virtually is really going to become essential in your skill set as a professional. So this webinar is going to address virtual technology and some opportunities that virtual counseling provides and how to overcome some of the challenges. So this is Andy Wren, and I have been working with clients virtually for many years as a private practitioner. I first began working with clients virtually during a program for financial coaching and credit coaching with clients in Boston in 2009. Typically, I'd work with somebody face-to-face for 1 or 2 sessions, and then we would move on to phone and email back then. Those were our options. And since then, as the virtual options have increased, so have the ways that I've worked with clients to establish a great working collaboration. The majority of the clients that I have worked with in the past 6 years come from those who use the AFCPE website to find an accredited financial counselor. I enjoy connecting with clients visually to get nonverbal communication through visual options that are now available. And having been using video conferencing for about 5 years, so I'm also on the AFCPE Board of Directors.
And I'm the other half of the dynamic duo. This is Starlet Henderson, and I'm an AFC. Remote work has been in my vocabulary for about 15 years. When I got out of the military, I went right into school to get my master's, and that was online learning. So that was my first experience with that. And I remember getting all graduated with my master's and approaching a very large EAP asking them, hey, how come you don't offer services remotely? I'd love to work for you and I'd love to work from home. That did not work out. We've come a long way. So between then and now, I started my own business with another person doing podcasting and blogging, working from home virtually until I got my AFC. And at that point, I sought out, this is Starlet Henderson. Sorry, I thought I said that. I'm watching the chat. So from there, once I got my AFC, I started working with nonprofits who wanted to give their audience a financial counseling or financial education or one-on-one. So I've taught classes on various platforms and counseled virtually. There was an extended period of time where I did it solely by phone. I will tell you I prefer virtual platforms, but phone counseling can be done. And so we'll be talking about that a little bit later too. I am also on the AFCPE Board of Directors. And later on, we will have our director talk. Rebecca Wiggins is going to be talking about an opportunity that this class is connecting you with, in the sense that will help you learn and navigate virtual considerations so that you can better serve clients in this day and time. So here's our agenda. We are experts, we're not experts. I mean, we are learning every day ourselves. In the own platforms that we use right now, they keep changing things, different security measures and everything. So we're going to talk about the basics as we know it, but this is also going to be a very collaborative session. We want to make sure that you guys have a chance to answer questions, but also give us some lessons learned and things that are working for you. All together, we can serve our clients well. And so we just want to make sure that you guys know that you're not alone and that we're together. And Andy is going to tell you how to collaborate. You guys most know the chat room. We did just want to share, because people are using Zoom in their private practice, we were going to have you answer a poll. Not a poll question, but Andy, you were going to ask them.
Oh, well, how many people actually do virtual counseling? And it will be, I was going to say, we could have people raise their hand or do a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but only Summer would be able to see those answers. so you can type in. It's good to just see what people, how many
I've got a
people
lot of I do's. So certainly,
do.
we're here to share what we know, but we also want you guys to be able to share what you know and encourage you to reach out to others who don't have the same level of experience. Wow.
Good. Lots of
Wow.
lots of good back there, Starlet. So when we do have questions for, that we are going to pose of you, we really look forward to you sharing in the chat box some of those good things to pass on to others.
Jerry had a good idea too. This is a best practice. If you have a specific question, Summer's going to read those to us at various breaks throughout the program. And so if you maybe preface it with question, that might help her filter for some of the things that are going to be something that you want us to chat about.
Very good.
So the two basics we're going to cover are the technology. Andy's going to take over that, and then I'm going to talk about online presence.
All right. So one of the considerations that you need to think about, whether you're already providing virtual counseling or coaching with clients or not, is what platform you're going to use or continue using. So the list that we're providing today is not an endorsement of any program. It's just a representation of what's available. You should investigate what each offers and the security level of each. Starlet and I have both have a background in mental health counseling as well as the AFC. So many of the options that we selected offer a HIPAA compliant version, which provides a high level of security. So some of you might not be familiar with some of these. So I just kind of went through and looked at a few different things to see what they have available, what the costs were. A lot of the mental health groups that I'm part of shared some of these kind of things as well. So it's been interesting to see what other people are using. The mental health organization there, you see on the slide, they have relaxed the setting for HIPAA requirement right now because there are so many people who are not going to be able to go sit down and talk to their counselor. So some of those other platforms that don't have HIPAA compliant processes are not available. So like a Facebook Live would not be an appropriate session though, right? Because you're going to have to use something that's more private. So Amazon Chime, for example, Pro is free for people who are adding it between March 4th and June 30th. The interesting thing about Amazon Chime is that it's $3 per day, up to $15 per month for hosting as a pro. So that one I thought was interesting. So if you don't use it much, it doesn't cost you much. Doxy.me is, they have a free version, a $35 a month version, and a $50 a month version. Google G Suite Hangouts, basic is $6 per month, business $12 per month, enterprise $25 a month. Skype for Business is in collaboration with Microsoft Teams soon, and it can be $8.25 per month, $12.50 per month. And then WebEx, the personal is free. They have a starter plan for $13.50, a plus for $18 a month, and a business for $27 a month. And then Zoom, free version, $15 a month, $20 a month. And the HIPAA version is $200 a month. That one's a big one. So I thought that was interesting. GoToMeeting has a professional for $12 a month and a business for $16 a month. And then there's one called VC, which is just the letter V, and then SEE is $49 a month. A lot of mental health professionals use that too. So those are just some of the things that we wanted to share. Let's see. There are also customer relationship management systems, which are called CRMs, and you can use those to schedule appointments. They have free and paid versions as well. So it might be something that you'd want to check into. And if anybody wants to share any of the programs that they like, we want to move to that slide. Yeah. What programs do you like, and what have you been using? So there are a variety of ways that you can connect virtually with your clients, and phone is the go-to if all else fails, right? Have that client's phone number. Make sure they have your phone number, and make sure you know what your client is comfortable with.
I did see that in the chat room, someone talking about the backup plan. So you need to make sure that you have a backup plan. And all of those different technologies that Andy mentioned, you know, it would behoove you to know a couple of them, right? Because we do want to meet our clients where they're at. And so you might choose something that works for you, but they might be used to something else. So knowing where you can actually practice and being versed in that, you know, a couple, maybe WebEx, Zoom, and Skype or something like that, that would be very helpful. And then just knowing that the backup being the phone is also helpful. So I was talking earlier about how I've done phone counseling, and it's different. Obviously, I was doing it career counseling, and when I do it now over the phone, it's difficult. You may want to make sure that you're encrypting emails and sharing information that way, so that maybe you're both looking at a computer screen at the same time if they don't want to meet on the screen, or you're looking at a screen version and they're looking at a printed version. It's just something that you just have to really slow down and give yourself some time to explain things. And so maybe even practice explaining different forms, maybe filling out a W-4, or practice explaining how to fill out a budget sheet. You know, make sure that your client understands that vocabulary that's going to be coming across them via the phone. So what kind of system is in the chat room?
Yeah, I've been trying to watch some of the chats here. One person asked, would we be providing the costs? And that you can look at whichever platforms you might be interested in, and it was very easy to find how much each of their costs were. So, you know, you'll get the slide deck and it'll have the list of the ones that the majority of the ones that we discussed. I think there were a couple that weren't on there, but and then somebody asked about privacy using Zoom. I think with any platform, you need to get to know what the options are that are available for you securing your room, securing the meeting, and there are tutorials with every application that you can get to learn all the different options available there. Starlet, did you want to add to that?
Just try a few, right? And know that it's going to be changing, and we just have to semper gumby and be very flexible. But the more you get comfortable with what's offered now, even just on the basic versions, and they do all have limitations, of course, the more you get comfortable with balancing, you know, notes on your desk and noise in the background and interactions on the computer, the better you'll be able to flex, if that makes sense.
We do have a quick question. Are any of these especially good for people whose primary internet access point is a phone rather than a computer?
Oh, good question. A lot of them do have apps, Summer. So I hesitate to call out any one of them, but definitely I would, you know, gravitate to an app version of that then. Do you have any notes on that, Andy?
Not really.
I use Zoom on my phone.
Yeah, I do too. I have Zoom on my phone, but I've been using Zoom for a couple of years now with, I usually try to use my laptop if I'm doing a PowerPoint, but I have used it for other meetings on my phone pretty regularly. If you're going to be working with a client one-on-one and you're working on budgets, it might be difficult to do that on a phone anyway, unless they're, you know, but you do have to think about, and I do have this in my notes, is you have to think about the clients that you're interacting with. So let's say this program has been shared everywhere and people sign up for it, and you're one of the people that are helping with the program that Rebecca is going to talk about in a couple minutes. You might have people that the phone option is the only thing. They can do that on the phone. They may not have internet. They might not be able to go to the library where they would have been able to use the computer, things like that. So you're going to have to really think about your audience and all the different things that you might be able to do to connect with your clients.
And one thing is for sure is we have not found a perfect version of anything. There's always room for improvement on everything.
Right.
You know, we really wanted to just bring it to you guys to have the conversation, hear what you're using, hear, you know, for people who have never used any of this, just to know that there's pros and cons, similar to buying a car. And a lot of it is personality driven, but then also, like Andy said, you know, our customers are first and foremost. So we want to be able to do as much as we can where they're at.
Yeah, you definitely don't want them to be too frustrated that they don't get the help that they so need or desire. So if you just, you know, take your time, be slow, be patient, let them learn if they're learning something new. And a lot of financial counselors do balk at telephonic, as Star kind of mentioned before. And
You just have to slow it down.
yeah,
You just have to slow it down.
you have to give them time to take in what you've said. I know that pause is uncomfortable for some people. So, yeah.
All right, so now we're going to just talk about your online presence. Every one of these platforms that we talked about are going to have some forward-facing way of portraying yourself. And so I want to talk about lighting and sound and picture. You know, your picture, I actually put it on last year, probably should have gone first. You want that first impression to be professional and personable. It, you know, it doesn't hurt to smile. Make sure you put a profile picture in it. And you just think about it like this. If you're house hunting, do you look at the ones that have a picture or you don't have a picture? Or if you're on LinkedIn, are you looking for references or points of contact who have a picture or don't have a picture? Most often people are going to pick on something with a picture. So do take the time on whatever platform you end up using to upload a picture. And if you aren't comfortable with that picture being you, find something that is, or, you know, put your logo there or something that is related to our work. So, you know, a money symbol or some type of icon that so people know what they're getting. So that's their first, you know, that's your front door. So you want to make sure that that is very polished. And then the lighting and the sound. So, you know, even as we got ready for today, you know, we don't have our cameras on, but I know both Andy and I have lights that are small and portable so that we can move around our desktop to give us proper lighting. Sit by a natural window, try a couple different room setups, have a primary and a backup location, and ask colleagues their opinion. So, you know, this is not the time to necessarily like hunker down and be the most competitive you've ever been. This is a great time to use generosity and reach out to other professionals and ask them to help you and for you to offer to help them. And just say, how do I look? How am I coming across? What can you see in the background? What are some, you know, things that you're hearing in the background that I didn't think about? We are not saying that it has to be perfect. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good, but we're just saying, think about these things. Both for you and for your client, right? And so you want to be comfortable, and it is very hard to conduct sessions when you're worried about the dog running under your desk, or if, and we're going to talk later on about time management, and I know a lot of people are working at home with kids and stuff, and so they're going to want to learn how to balance that if they haven't already. So just get as comfortable as you can. This is your office, and it should be as inviting as if you were going to walk the client right in. That being said, we are all working in unprecedented times, and so it's not going to be perfect. And so give, you know, maybe make 82% your perfect in these coming weeks. Get as comfortable as you can so that you can make your clients as comfortable as you can. And then check with those colleagues. You know, when I was learning my online platform, I had my husband try and log in. I had my daughter try and log in. We've logged in from laptops. We've logged in from different platforms of phone and looked to see, you know, what did the picture look like? Did it, you know, what did the sound sound like? And what did the lighting look like?
Yeah, friends and family are great guinea pigs.
Any comments on that?
There was a question about, can we incorporate as a private practice working digitally? So I don't think that we're talking about that kind of aspect of things today. But
I guess I don't understand the question.
incorporating, so let's talk LLC.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Got it.
You have an earlier question. What makes a platform HIPAA compliant?
It's going to be the security settings and the way that there's communication between the two of you. And, you know, it's going to have a certain level of encryption so that it's easier, or I'm sorry, harder to jump into.
Yeah, break into.
Interrupt. You know, people, I guess I was just going to say, you know, software can't claim to be HIPAA compliant if they aren't, but I guess, you know, unscrupulous businesses, it's just a buyer beware. Just like we tell our clients when they're buying a new item, you know, go out there and look at, you know, Better Business Bureau, look at what your colleagues are saying about it. Google the platform and fraud, or, you know, HIPAA compliance or security measures. And, you know, we didn't want to come out here and say, you must use this, X, Y, or Z. You know, as we said before, Human and Health Services have kind of relaxed those HIPAA compliance standards right now. So we want to make sure that you guys are using something that you're comfortable with, but of course, on a professional level, something that you've done your own due diligence for as well. Any other questions on lighting or tips, audio, online presence, or technology?
Do you use a separate microphone?
This is Starlet. I personally do not. I'm on a laptop and I'm using my laptop microphone. If I was podcasting, I did have a different setup for that. If you guys are thinking that you're just going to do this to get you through until you can get back to the office, I wouldn't be investing a bunch of money. But again, this is why you do audio checks with friends and neighbors and people you trust to give you proper feedback.
And I know a lot of people use headsets, but I also don't have anybody else to make noise or walk through the room. So that makes a big difference, I think. And I was somebody said, how do you learn all the features of Zoom? There's all kinds of tutorials available on the Zoom website. YouTube has all kinds of tutorials on different kinds of tools as well. So you could look up a lot of things just by doing a search with your favorite search engine and finding out tutorials, or going to FAQ pages for whatever type of program you're looking to participate or use.
I'm seeing a lot of people concur with that in the chat room. You know, it says my 16-year-old daughter is my Zoom technical specialist. Don't be afraid to ask the kids, right? They're learning too from their teachers, and maybe, you know, it's just fun to learn tricks, and maybe, you know, the dinner conversation can be what online learning and education tool did you learn more about today. And we're going to talk about teaching our clients that a little bit today too.
What about client portals to transfer documents securely, like credit reports?
That's one of the reasons that we were kind of highlighting HIPAA programs, just because they do have some security features. But how would you normally email, you know, do you email your clients normally to send and receive those documents? You know, so you kind of have to look at what you're already doing. Starlet, I'll let you add.
Just, you know, there's options in most every email thing to send something encrypted. I haven't had any issues in that area. There are portals out there, and I know that the one that we're partnering with, so if that's something that you feel very passionate about, the one that we're partnering for and the opportunities we're going to talk about in just a few minutes has that to where you have a separate portal. Let's talk about opportunities.
Really quickly, can you provide any insight about screen sharing when using external or dual monitors?
I think for most of them, you'll just have to, when you go to screen share, it will ask you to select what you want to share. So you just select the one that you wish to share. I don't know that I don't think it's that complicated with most programs.
Yeah, it's really, it'll ask you what window to share or maybe a certain program. Again, they're different across the thing. It is definitely doable, and you have to practice. But usually it's going to ask you, you know, do you want to share this document, or do you want to share this website, or do you just want to share your screen? And if it's dual, if it's got connected, most of them are smart enough to know that there's two there and you can pick one. I remember I saw Kim in the chat room, and she used to use dual monitors all the time. You might want to pipe in with an answer there too.
Yeah, and somebody asked us in the panelist question, is virtual mandatory? Well, the phone is also virtual. So that would be right now with most states, and I think Rhonda is in Texas. I'm not sure what Texas has as their rules currently for how you can get together with other people. You just have to follow those protocols right now that are implemented in your county and state on whether or not you can get together with somebody face to face.
Yeah, and Rhonda says she uses her phone. I think the phone is the first go-to. So opportunities, you know, opportunities are anytime, anywhere. You know, I think oftentimes I talk to many people who were jealous of the work that I did virtually. So now you guys all get to try it. And, you know, anytime, anywhere. Now, unfortunately, we're stuck at home. But some of the opportunities of working virtually for me have just been the fact that I can work if I wanted to go visit my in-laws while my husband was deployed or something. I could, you know, if I wanted to go to the library for the day, I could work from that space. Some of you guys rent an office in the local area, and so that's an opportunity too. But in general, working virtually, or the opportunity for this, is it can help open doors for people who haven't traditionally sought counseling because they're shut in, or they're so online that they don't necessarily have time and room in their office to run downtown to an office to meet you. And it's also a way for someone to not be seen going to see a counselor, and so they feel that that's more confidential. So I would say that those in general are the opportunities, right? These are the pros of working virtually, and something that drew me to doing this kind of work in the first place. If anything I can do to kill that commute, and maybe even to save a few dollars on the overhead of renting a space or owning a space, you know, and when you're moving around a lot, owning a space does not sound real practical. So I love the idea of working for wherever there is internet. Now, of course, I wouldn't see clients on the beach or poolside, but I can tell you that I have heard that people do that. So, you know, if you're if you're on the internet, or if you, you know, committed to this way of life, it's certainly a very flexible, fun opportunity. And then, Andy, you're going to talk about opportunities too.
Yeah, so are we moving to the next slide yet, or are we going to do that here? It's up to you. So how do you find opportunities? You know, there are a lot of things about promoting the AFC and AFCPE so that people are aware of the designation. The more people see it, the better it is for us. They see that you're giving good sound information if you're sharing information on social media. I know there's a lot of us in this room that have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all kinds of great ways, LinkedIn, to connect with people and let them know that you're available to help them through this time. So making sure that your social media platform that you're using for business or your AFC designation, you know, list that you are an AFC, you know, put that registered trademark after that. Share information about AFCPE and that information. So just getting it out there is going to help us come across more opportunities. I volunteer with a program here right now that is doing meals for people because financial insecurity or food insecurity is a big thing. we're handing out meals every day. I am planning on sharing that opportunity for people to get financial counseling to all the 200 people who come to get dinner every evening. So that way they know that if they want to, have a free financial counseling session, a lot of them are out of work. We've had some people who both spouses are out of work and are not essential. So they're coming every day to get some food, and food pantries are a great place. That's what our program is out of.
In the top block here, I had mentioned, roll out your online capabilities with those you've got rapport with, right? So previous clients, I mean, they're stuck at home. You're going to be in mid-stride with some of these people. And so you've already built rapport, and just, using this as an opportunity of growth for both of you is somewhere where you can start with the online capability or the opportunities. And then, if the better you flex now, the better the word of mouth will be that you were able to meet them in that need, which is part of the reason why we're kind of sharing this, is to try and demystify and make it a little less scary for all of you, so you can continue to work with the clients you've been working with and then grow from there.
We have a typo on the slide. Did you see that comment? Whoops. Yeah. Spell AFCPE right. Make sure, but we would love to see what are some of the hashtags that people use when you're sharing on social media. What are some of those hashtags that you're using right now, or so you can connect to each other on social media, because that's the nice thing about a hashtag, right? You can type in a hashtag and you can see everybody who's used that. This is definitely one of those, the value of an AFC is a great thing.
Yeah, I owe a personal apology on that one. I'm sorry.
We just type too fast sometimes, right?
Ask
an AFC, that's a good hashtag. AFCPE in action, fantastic. Financial inclusion.
I'm giving myself a big old next, please, because we have mistakes, right? And that's not going to be my last one. And so I'm sorry about that. And we'll stop making more of that. It will be fixed in the PDF that goes out to you guys. And at this time, we should introduce Rebecca. Rebecca has been on the line. She's the director of FCPE, and said that right, I hope, and is going to talk about the unique opportunity that we have been availed to working with clients with a secure portal. And I will stop there so that she can go ahead and continue giving us the highlights on that. Rebecca?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Starlet and Andy, first of all, just for providing all of this great information today. And yeah, I am just going to pop in quickly to tell you I'm really excited, and I hope you're getting our emails because we have a huge opportunity that we want everyone to know about, and really wanted to provide this information today on virtual counseling and coaching platforms so that you can do this really well. But we have a new opportunity. We received generous funding through Wells Fargo to essentially ramp up our virtual financial counseling and coaching services to people in need. Obviously, people were struggling before this COVID-19 crisis, but this has created additional struggles for people all across the country. And so we are really in a wonderful position. All of you are well positioned to be a huge part of the solution for this and meeting people where they are. So we have chosen to work with our partner, the Yellow Ribbon Network, for a couple of reasons. Now, they traditionally work in the military sector only, but through this initiative, they are expanding to be able to offer any consumer the connection point to professionals. And so their platform is HIPAA compliant, so that's one of the great parts of it. They already do this work well. In fact, they often use our military spouse fellows who have earned the AFC designation, so they're well versed in the value of your expertise already. This is going to be available to anyone who is a certified AFC or FFC. So if you are a financial fitness coach or an accredited financial counselor in good standing. And we are also opening it up to anyone who has passed their AFC exam and needs to build ours. So essentially what will happen is we will announce this next week in terms of where the consumers will go, excuse me. And it'll be a website where any consumer who wants access to one of our professionals will essentially be able to log in, and the Yellow Ribbon Network will be able to triage those requests to all of you who are loaded onto the Yellow Ribbon Network platform. And that's why this week is really important that you get in and do that. Our team has put together all of the instructions. There are quite a few things you have to get through to do. So please make sure you read the instructions. You go through each step. You have to sign their HIPAA agreement and go through their portal to get set up so that next week we can open it up to consumers and they can start to reach you. A couple other quick things with this. You will essentially, what we are doing is passing on the funding to our professionals. So we get the funding from Wells Fargo, but what we want to do is incentivize. We know your time is really valuable, and we don't want to ask you to do this for free, essentially. And I know many of you will because you are so passionate about this work, but we want to be able to help you in this time as well. So what we're asking is that you do a minimum of 3 different client sessions in order to get the stipend from us. Yellow Ribbon Network will continue to pay you $20 for every new client that you see. So you'll be able to still get some incentive from doing this. And we really hope we have, shared the value, of course, of what you do and what you know with Wells Fargo and with all of our partners. This is a wonderful way for us to be able to scream from the mountaintops how amazing you are, the work that you're already doing. And so if you are able to do more than the 3 clients, we would really love it if you could. We want to be able to reach as many people as we can. It's an opportunity. To me, this feels like our moment from the AFCPE community. So we are well positioned to help people, and we want to be able to really use this opportunity to show the value of your expertise as an AFC or an FFC. One thing I want to make sure, though, to mention to that point, and then I'll stop talking, is it's really, really, really crucial that you make sure you do the intake and the outtake questionnaire with your clients. The reason for that is, first of all, it's very short, but we really need that information to be able to tell the story of your impact and of your expertise. And again, this is such an important moment and opportunity for us as a profession to show the value of your certification and your expertise. And we want to be able to tell that story in a really big way. So please make sure that you do that intake and outtake. I think that's it. I'm going to put in here, into the chat there, we have put together, our team has put together a bunch of the FAQs, so things that you may have questions about. Once you get loaded into the Yellow Ribbon Network, it will take a little bit of time to verify. So just be patient. Our team is actually going through, our small but mighty team is going through and verifying everyone that goes through here. We want to make sure that everybody that goes through and says that they are AFCPE certified is in good standing. Once we do that, you'll get your code to register for Financial Inclusions Essentials, which will, it's a new program that's rolling out and allowing a little bit more information and focus on working with people with disabilities. And especially during this time, we wanted to make sure you were well equipped for that. So a lot of information I'm throwing at you, but I want to make sure you have access to all of the emails that we've been sending, have a lot of this information. We've got information on our website. And you can always reach out. If you have a question about this, call me, email me. The team is really focused on supporting you through this time so that we can reach as many people and show the value of your expertise and the work that you do. So thank you so much. I hope that everybody will take part in this. We hope to reach as many consumers as possible. So as many counselors and coaches that are willing to do this, we really appreciate your work. One last quick thing is, if you are working during the day, this is on your schedule. So you will set up, when this works for you to meet clients where they are. So you can certainly do it if you have time or any extra margin in your life right now to serve. So please do that and let us know if there's anything that we can do to support you. And thanks so much for all you do.
We do have a couple of questions, Rebecca, if you don't mind.
Sure.
One, do we know yet how long this program will last?
We don't yet. You know, I anticipate, as I'm sure many of you do, there's, you know, we're all sort of going through this crisis and uncertainty right now, but there's going to be obviously compounding impacts from this that last well beyond when life goes, quote unquote, back to normal. So we are definitely taking a longer view of this. I would encourage you, though, to get into the system and get registered as soon as possible so that we can start assigning consumers to you as soon as they're ready for that. But I foresee this lasting several months.
Can a client request you specifically if maybe they were your client and had not yet been signed up to Yellow Ribbon Network?
That I don't know. That would be a question I would have to follow up. I kind of doubt it, but there may be a way that they could put something in there requesting someone in particular, but I don't think so. I think they are going, however, to try to match people as much as possible who are geographically located. One thing that the platform will let you do once you get connected, the platform will allow you to ask for documents that you may need or want to see from the client. And then from there, you'll take it, you know, by phone or any of the ways that we've talked about today that way. But that's all I really know that they're going to do right now is just connect people geographically as much as possible. And we'll just see how that works out.
How many hours are expected per client?
What is expected is 3 initial sessions. So we're hoping I mean, I'm anticipating that would be around an hour. It may be less depending on what the client needs. It may be a little bit more. I mean, you all know how that works depending on the individual and what their issues are and maybe what information you can have them load into that platform so you can spend time really digging into the issues in your session. But once you've done 3 different client sessions, that's when you will be eligible for that initial stipend from AFCPE. And then any new client beyond that will get the Yellow Ribbon $20.
And just to clarify, that's 1 session per client for up to 3 sessions total, not a total of 3 sessions per client.
Correct. We want you to reach as many clients as possible. And so while you may want to do follow-up with a client, that's fine, but we're looking for 3 different clients for the stipend.
What has been the response so far from AFCP professionals?
I have not checked the numbers as of late. We've got a couple hundred people in the system, but you know, we're looking at, there's millions of people that are affected by this. So as Summer mentioned earlier, you know, the more, the better. We'd rather have you in there. I really want to be able to show the value of what you do and your expertise. And so I want to be able to show that we have, you know, that we can meet the need.
Are there any resources available to counselors like forms or other tools?
That's a great question. What we have already put together, our team's been working really diligently behind the scenes in terms of putting together resources like the webinars today, yesterday. And so we are going to, and actually I know a lot of that has already been put out into the emails, and I think Rachel just slacked it here too. So there's a lot of resources already. If you need something in particular that you are having trouble finding, that's one of the great opportunities too to connect from a membership standpoint to make sure that you can reach out to other members and ask for those resources and things like that. But let us know if there's something in particular you need. We can try to add that to the resource page for you.
We had somebody who wanted to know more about AFCPE's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force. If you're interested, you will receive an email after this webinar with the link to the recording and the slides. You can just email me back for more information about that. We have a question: how can we refer people to the COVID-19 services?
So what's going to happen is once you all, this week, we're really trying to push that as many of our counselors and coaches get into the Yellow Ribbon Network, get onto that platform and ready for counselor or for consumers. Next week, we are pushing out the consumer platform through our partners, and you all will be wonderful conduits for that as well. So we will want you to then take that, you know, find us on social media, make sure that you're sharing these opportunities in your networks and through your local nonprofits that you're already maybe connected with. So that's really what we're doing right now, is more of a grassroots through our partnerships, and Wells Fargo is doing the same, so that we can reach as many consumers as possible and also scale up in a way that we can handle.
All right. we better get moving, Summer. We're going to run out of time here.
Excellent. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to contact us and we'll get them answered after the webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, Summer. Thank you, Rebecca, very much. Now, remember, it is very important for you to start, make sure you're sharing the AFCPE information and that you are an AFC or an AFC candidate. And that way people will get to know it. You can share things via your social media once that information is out there to share with the public so that people can learn about that in your community. All right, so go ahead, Starlet. So let's talk a little bit about challenges. So opportunities are fantastic, and there's just so many ways to reach out to new people and to find new opportunities as an AFC or an FFC. So we're going to talk about now some that you may come across, some of those challenges that you may come across when you're working with clients virtually. So if you're meeting with somebody one-on-one, it is helpful to have reviewed any information and documents that you have for them. You want to have their client data like phone number and email. So if for some reason they're not showing up on time or not getting in, maybe you send them a text, maybe you shoot them an email, maybe you give them a call and say, hey, is everything okay? Are you having problems getting in? Kind of have everything ready when it comes time for your appointment, and you're there ahead of time and not too rushing to find something if something does come up. Have a backup plan communicated ahead of time. So if you've reached out and you've sent an email to your client, let them know what will happen if they can't get in or what they should do. Have your phone number there so they can give you a call if they're having problems. And then make sure that if you're doing something in a group setting, that people have your contact information as well, if at all possible. So, and that you're also monitoring your devices to make sure that you're knowing if somebody is having an issue getting in. And then let's talk a little bit about privacy and security and mandatory reporting. So you would probably want to be looking up in your state information about mandatory reporting. With financial insecurity, mandatory reporting can come into play. So you want to check your state and the state of the clients that you work with if you're working with clients in different states. Starlet and I are both in North Carolina, for example, and we have a small section from the state of North Carolina in regard to that. So the reporting requirement applies to doctors, social workers, therapists, teachers, law enforcement officers, and others whose professions sometimes involve them directly with problems of abuse, neglect, or dependency. So it applies equally, though, to housing inspectors, store clerks, coworkers, friends, relatives, bystanders, and everyone else. So everybody's a mandatory reporter in North Carolina. So if you find out about some kind of abuse, and I've seen that be a big topic of discussion in social media in general, that now people are home in stressful situations, and if they don't have jobs, things might happen, and you might learn about those things. So it's important for you to just be aware of that and to know what you need to do in your state and that kind of thing.
And this is like not a new requirement, but because you're working virtually, you're going to want to be thinking about, do you call the question in the chat room, do you call?
Right.
So that's all something you're going to want to game ahead of time and know exactly who you need to call locally, know what zip code they're in, know where they're calling in from in general, so that you can send help when you need it.
So, and then balancing time. Having a schedule, having a routine, that can be very helpful. So this would be a whole different story if your kids are grown like me. My kids are grown. Nobody's bugging me. I can do appointments until midnight if I feel like it. It's really good to think about your clients and what they're experiencing It is a worldwide pandemic. People have emotional and physical situations that they're experiencing. I see a lot of reaction rather than people being kind of proactive. So try to be as routine and scheduled as you can. Be the calm in their life. And I leave a buffer time usually of between 10 minutes and 30 minutes between sessions with clients, because that way if somebody runs over, it also gives me time to write down any notes that I need to about a client that I worked with. So definitely something to be aware of.
I have a couple thoughts on that too, in the sense,
Yeah, go ahead.
you know, the routine, you're going to hold that with an open hand, right?
Right.
You want to, and hopefully most people can report that week 3 now is better than week 1, 2 weeks ago, and that things are kind of settling for you. But you're going to want to signal to the people that are in your home, if you're working from home, that you're working. And you're going to do this by various ways. If you can, you know, put yourself behind a door, awesome. If you have to put yourself in a corner with a big sign, I've seen, you know, stop sign and go sign paddles. Setting timers. One woman that I know works with, she has a candle lit so they can see from across the room that there's a candle. She's working, don't interrupt. Get dressed so that everybody feels like they're in work mode, and keep your kids in that same mode. I had another friend respond to me when I was asking questions and tips that her kids are still in uniform. They're doing school at home in uniform, just like they did before. And then that really helps. Make sure that you're taking breaks, and know that your breaks from work are going to be filled with kids. Those are your mommy office hours or your daddy office hours if you have kids at home. So, you know, while you want to be easy on yourself and trying to find and maintain that balance, don't be afraid to put out rules and routines and schedules and barriers and boundaries for yourself, for your clients, and for your kids. It is a tough adjustment. It's not something that there are people out there doing perfectly, and right, we want to compare ourselves with people maybe that have been doing this for years and years, and that's not something that we need to, you know, comparison kills joy, and it is going to kill your energy as well. So just know that there's many coworkers and other people in the same situation, so reach out to those, give yourself a place to vent and to decompress. Those are the tips that I just know from personal experience, and then sharing with you know, some of the friends that I know. I've got a great network of people who work from home. And so those are the big tips. That open hand, I read that with a lot of, you know, like a lot of ease. That made me feel better. You're right. You know, you want to have a plan, but you have to be ready for your backup. So yeah, compassionate counseling, use that compassionate counseling with yourself. And so this, you know, I can roll that right into the counseling and the client relationship, you know.
Yeah, go.
They're going through a lot, and you know, we need to just take a deep breath, put ourselves into that mental space of being ready to work for them, and to listen to them trying to balance it all as well, right? I mean, finances are hard in general. I'm listening, I'm watching the chat. Slowing down my speech has been important, and that's so true. So I think you had said it, Andy, like, be the calm that they need to see in their lives. So just slow down, know that we're not going to get as much done, know that not as much of your counseling might be about money issues, and that this is not a new experience for everybody. Anything to add on that?
Well, I have a client that I've worked with. I met her first in person, but we didn't have a counseling session there. And then we went to video, and keeping her on task is a challenge. Sometimes I get too many stories. So I try to keep things focused so I don't end up spending 3 hours talking to one person. So, you know, making sure that when you're working with that client, that they know your goal is to help them with their financial topics. And I want to be as focused as I can about talking about your goals. And those COVID-19 things are going to roll into everywhere in their life. Really, they are. So you're not going to just be helping them in one area. You're going to be helping them in many.
How about challenges that you guys have seen from your perspective? And while I'm letting Summer catch up with the chat on that, I picked this picture on purpose of the bucket.
Yeah.
somewhere recently that, you know, if they, you know, the powers that be, or, you know, so society had said that staying at home, like started a staying at home challenge, we'd all be figuring out ways to win and to look, you know, great doing it. So, you know, just know that sometimes, you know, a lot of people have been asking for this opportunity. Hopefully we can use it as an opportunity to roll into more opportunities of working from home and having a better balanced schedule. But how about questions or insights from the audience on what your challenges are? Maybe
Yeah, I have the broadband issue sometimes myself that somebody just printed. The spectrum here in the area has given everybody that, you know, because there's a lot of people who don't have internet, and they're giving internet to people because schools are out for the rest of the year and they're doing online schools. So that's really dragging down and making things slower. So, you know, you have to keep that in mind and have that backup plan if you're having problems with your broadband.
So while we're waiting for people to type any questions they might have, the AFCP completion code is virtual AFCPE 2020. That is virtual AFCPE 2020. Capitalization does not matter, but spaces do. There are no spaces.
We're getting some comments in the chat room about the challenges as far as staying on time. You know, we know all about that, and you just never, there's not enough time. It's not like all of a sudden we got more than 24 hours. We have more, what did I say in the last slide? More time, more problems. That's kind of like the money, more problems. So, you know, pick your battles and start at what is the biggest pain point. Completion code is for CEUs. Summer just mentioned that, right? Yeah. All right. I wanted to talk about a couple recommendations of where we might go to from here. It is a whole new world. It can be looked at as scary, or it can be looked at as wonderful. I put some ideas together for those of you who have just started. Share what you're learning with your client. This is a way for you guys to connect. It also helps empower them because these are skills that they can use in their job or a new job once the pandemic is over and we can start venturing out. And it's also obviously going to help the counseling session when they know how to use the tools that you've selected to deliver services. So make sure that you're taking a minute to share something new with them and to bond over that. If you've already been doing this for a while, and it may be time for you to build a course with that extra time where you're not driving and doing the commute. So think about the frequently asked questions that your clients always ask before, during, and after client sessions, and build a course of how best to work through the process that you've deemed that you work through. And then in advanced, conquer other new worlds. Just from my personal life, I've been really looking at walk and talk therapy, and that's not something I can enact right now with COVID-19, but I am doing a lot of research on that so that when the next opportunity for me to change jobs that might be something that I'm interested in doing. And then maybe just working online is your new world and you found that you like it. I had a couple book recommendations for those people who are interested in this new possibility. I love the quote here. You set the context and let life unfold, from the book Art of Possibility. But some of the other books that you might want to look at is Womenomics. So it's women with economics. This was written a long time ago to help women figure out how to balance work and home and to work from home and to talk to their bosses about it. And then two other books that are just going to help us maybe find some renewed emotional energy, Made for These Times and Show Up Hard. And I'll put those in the chat room. But again, those are The Art of Possibility, Womenomics, Made for These Times, and Show Up Hard. If you know me, and some of you do, I just got to have a book for everything. So those are my 3 recommendations there.
We're at the bottom of the hour, but we do have one last question from Pamela. Any recommended YouTube channels for Zoom or other virtual platforms?
You know, Zoom has a lot of their stuff on YouTube, if that's what she's talking about. I hesitate to talk about other businesses who are doing things like this. So no, I don't have any. But start looking at, pretty much that first week when we went into COVID, everybody published something about working from home. So I would dare say that some of your favorites, your own favorites that you listen to, maybe on podcast or books that you've read, or other counselors have some resources.
Excellent.
Walk and talk therapy is when you are actually on a walk and you are talking. You are walking and talking. So, looking at a screen all day long is not healthy for you anyway. It's always good that if you're just going to have a session with somebody, if you can say, hey, I take a walk at this time. If you get to know your client, they want to take a walk. That's what I've done before. I'm like, hey, I'm really busy, but I am going for a walk this afternoon. If you want to talk while I'm walking, I'm happy to put on my headset or my earbuds and we can talk.
And for any specific questions about Yellow Ribbon Network or about that opportunity, please just go ahead and email Rebecca. And if you guys have any other questions, we're going to be sending out these slides on this recording. It takes a few hours to upload it, so please be patient, but we'll get it up as soon as we can. And thank you very much, Andy and Star. You guys did a great job.
Oh,